Hello everybody! Last week I made a video on what I consider personally to be the 8 most essential extensions you have to know. That video was meant to build upon another older video where I went over all 172 extensions present in the latest release of Inkscape. Link to both in the description. Anyway, I thought I could do the same but for path effects, since I already made a video covering all 55 path effects that comes with the program. So that is what this video is going to be about. The 8-ish path effects you absolutely need to know. Very well, let's get started. Many vector programs like Adobe Illustrator or Affinity Designer have tools that allows you to round or flatten any type of corner, not just the ones in built-in rectangles. Inkscape does not have any tool to do that, but what it does have is the corners path effects, which has the same functionality and then some. You cannot just round any corner you want, you can also invert the roundness, you can add steps to the flatten and invert it as well. You can set the values with numbers to be as precise as you want, and all of this on a per corner basis. It is really one of the most essential path effects for everyday work in my opinion. Being able to change the shape of the stroke is very important for any type of line art. Inkscape has the shape dropdown in the tool controls of the pen tool that allows you to give your strokes some type of simple shape, usually a taper. But you may not be aware that the shape dropdown actually uses the power stroke path effect. Basically, you can give any shape you may want to a stroke, not just simple tapers. With these little diamonds, which you can add as many as you want, you can really sculpt and get any possible shape. It's usually more than enough for anything you may want to do. If you don't need as much power and all you want is a quick and dirty taper at the ends, I would recommend you to check out the taper stroke. It works similarly to the power stroke, but you can only control the taper at the ends, which makes it much easier to handle. Continuing with the strokes, if you really want to have control over how a stroke looks, there is one path effect that truly unlocks that power. Pattern along path allows you to repeat a path along the stroke of another path, expanding on how a stroke can look. There is not that much to this effect other than that you have some options to control the scale, spacing and offset, as well as the width and the way it fuses at the ends. It's really complete and easy to use. Sadly, however, you cannot use objects to repeat throughout the path. They have to be single paths. If you need to use objects, I would recommend you to watch my extensions tutorial and search for pattern along path in the timecodes. And yes, it has the same name, but the functionality is different. If I had to pick a single path effect that's my favorite, by far it would be this one. Perspective envelope is so much more flexible and powerful than what you may think. It allows you to very easily put objects in perspective by pushing from the corners. It's super easy and intuitive to handle. Also, very important, it works with groups. This means you can draw whatever you want straight and flat, making it all nice and pretty and then group it and put everything in perspective in a matter of seconds. I found this effect to be essential when working in any type of perspective. And now comes the part where I remind you that I make Inkscape and illustration videos every week, so if you're interested on that, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. Also, any like and comment is highly appreciated and helps me and the channel a lot. That was all, continuing with the path effects. Sometimes you need to bend an object. That comes to play surprisingly often when working in a vector software. The bend path effect allows you to bend the path along a single straight line. This line is a normal everyday path. That means that you cannot just bend it and stretch it. You can also add nodes and further control the shape of the path. What's more, if you need, you can use your own custom paths for more control, but that is usually not necessary. I should also mention another somewhat related path effect that does something similar. Envelope deformation allows you to deform an object using 4 paths at the top, bottom, left and right. It's similar to the bend, but this time there is one path for every side instead of a single path. I don't consider it to be as useful as bend, but I thought to mention it since it's technically a more robust version of that. Mirror symmetry gives you very robust mirroring options. I don't think I need to mention how important mirroring can be for some type of illustrations. You have a ton of options on top as well. You control the mode of mirroring with a straight line that you can move around, allowing you to mirror to everywhere you want. Then you have other important options like the way they fuse, the possibility to separate the shapes so they have different styles, and more. Since I'm already talking about other complementary path effects, I thought to mention the rotate copies path effect, which is basically radial symmetry. It also has a ton of options that are super useful, like equal distribution, mirroring, splitting shapes, number of copies, and method. All very worth of exploring on your own, or checking out my video, again link in the description. This next one I'm not that much of a fan personally, mainly because of the way it's implemented, but I do realize that it's really useful and some people may not be bothered like I do. Lattice deformation creates a lattice of 5x5 with 25 control points that distorts the object. Lattices are very useful to make some final proportional adjustments on a finished illustration, and luckily this effect works with groups. My problem comes with the fact that you cannot make the lattice bigger or smaller, you're stuck to 25 control points, and for some basic adjustments, like most of the time you want to do, that's just way too many points. It ends up limiting your control. Then there is the fact that you cannot select more than one control point at a time, and the end result is that it's much less useful than what it could be. Had this path effect had the options to change the amount of control points, I would surely consider it to be close to the most important effect to learn. As it is, it's okay, but not nearly as useful, in my opinion. Tiling allows you to tile an object, which may be a bit of a niche option, but certainly useful for making certain types of patterns. You have a lot of tiling options here. In the original video I spent a really long time going over how everything works here. Just know that you can make any type of tiling pattern you can imagine. Sadly, all tiling is done from the very first object. You cannot place the original in the middle or anywhere other than in the first place. That would have been quite useful. As it is still great and very flexible, and certainly worth keeping in mind. And that was all for now. Path effects are awesome, and very well worth your time learning them. So why not check out my video where I go over all of them. Also don't forget to like and comment, and subscribe for more videos and tutorials on Inkscape and illustration. That's it, see you next video, bye.